Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Go back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it is Monday and we have a really crazy week ahead of us. So today and tomorrow we're going to see end of month flows going into, and it's not like this, it hasn't happened before, we haven't seen this before, but it's going into Federal Reserve meeting. But this Federal Reserve meeting is particularly important. We've got like the last two slated rate increases, and frankly this could be the last one, although things are starting to look a little bit more up, so I think that they probably will do too. And you know, there's all sorts of interesting things that we might see come out of that. So we have a lot to talk about today to prepare ourselves. So let's get over to the charts. Oh, we got some more rollovers. I am going to have to roll over all of my micro treasury yield futures soon. But not today. Last like 2 days for that. So let's check out the treasuries. So you can see here on the treasuries, I mean, there was a little bit of buying on Friday, but in the overnight, we've seen some selling. So again, like the trend that we've been seeing lately over the past week or so is like in the overnight session, they sell it, right? And then during the day session, we see buying. There is a lot of money out there that needs to buy treasuries this year. So that's kind of be a continued pressure throughout the year. But for this Federal Reserve meeting, I think that people might be trying to hedge themselves against central bank hawkishness. So watch out for that. Could give us a good buy opportunity afterwards. So yeah. S&P 500, it looks like they are down overnight. Gold and silver flat, copper flat, but at the lower end of its range. That's not too encouraging there. Copper's always an important indicator of global growth. The dollar a little bit higher, still well below the 102 that they were at, but you know, a little bit higher, heading up at the moment. Bitcoin, it looks like there's a little bit of a pump over the weekend that is coming back. You should note that oil at the moment, I mean, it doesn't look too big from the overnight, but just in the last few minutes, some selling in oil. So that's where we're at. I'm just going to come over here real quick. I'm going to check Twitter and so forth. There is some decent volume trading here on the open in the treasury market. So some selling here. Top story on Zero Hedge: the deep state is real. Well, of course it's real. The White House targets cryptocurrencies, calls for stronger. Thank you. I'm skeptical because they totally played the idiot, you know, just kind of sat by and watched all sorts of stupid stuff happen. Adani is still okay. So one of the interesting stories that kind of happened over the weekend is, or last Friday, is there is a prominent short seller, and they went and published a research report about a company named Adani, which is an Indian company, and there is like tons of drama about it. I don't know what the deal is, but those guys are you know, not dumb. Not every short report that they publish ends up in like a, you know, the company going bankrupt, but they're not dumb. Goldman, the case for a hard or soft landing. We'll read that later. I'm not certain whether Germans want Ukraine to win this war, says Polish Prime Minister. Oy. Nah, I feel like I'm missing something here. Hold on. Oh yeah, let's make sure we have the news squawk turned on. That will help. Okay, broad-based hawkish reaction seen following hot Spanish CPI. Gotcha. JPY action in wake of Okinawa's and Kuroda's remarks regarding the inflation target. Japan think tank head and potential Bank of Japan Deputy Governor candidate Okina says Bank of Japan's monetary policy must be revamped and that the monetary policy can become more flexible by making the 2% target a long-term goal. Subsequently, the Bank of Japan's Kuroda says they must continue easy policy and maintain the 2% target. Okay, so there's two things that I wasn't aware of pushing treasuries down, but it's glad that we got those out ahead of time. White House spokesperson said U.S. Biden will host Speaker McCarthy at the White House on Wednesday to discuss a range of issues. Biden will ask McCarthy if he intends to meet his constitutional obligation to prevent a default, and what his plan is to bring the deficit down for the economy. Blah, 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 blah. Although that's going to be an interesting meeting. Okay. Let me check Twitter here. OPEC unlikely to recommend changes to the OPEC. Oh, they have OPEC on the first as well. Ishmael Ali just discovered. Oh, thank you so much. Well, that's awesome that you found it and then you come into the stream so quickly. You don't think they can do it, Lucas? You don't think they'll bring? You know what? I actually one of the first pieces of positive thinking, I guess you could say, about this issue that I've seen in a long time. Rand Paul, he gave a thing out, and this is a guy that's been working on this and has been, you know, is quite knowledgeable about the country's fiscal situation. And he said that they have to bring spending down a certain amount, and it wasn't even like an insane amount. It wasn't even an insane amount. It was like just they needed to bring it back to like what it was before the pandemic. And you kind of had to do it slowly over 5 years, and then everything would be back in alignment, and we would grow the deficit out. It was like basically he said that the solution is not as difficult and awful as everybody makes it out to be, right? That we could actually resolve the country's fiscal problems, you know, within a decade, and it wouldn't have to be so painful. So I really, really sincerely hope that Congress, you know, and Joe Biden figure something out, find a way to at least make progress on the issue. Because of course, the longer you push it out, the worse it gets, right? But and we keep getting all these dire warnings and everything, but apparently, according to Rand Paul, you know, we can definitely do this. So let's do it. Let's do it. Get rid of him. Oh my gosh, I was, you know, I don't really want to go into this sort of stuff, but I was reading some things yesterday because of TikTok about the ATF that I was just like, oh man, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that. Oh, whoa, like I knew, yeah, I've heard some bad, you know, like it was going into some of the ATF's big failures, and there was little points about those that I did not know. That I was like, whoa. The longer he waits, the bigger the size of the explosion. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that, like, I don't know if you guys remember this. I kind of only vaguely remember it, but way back in the day, after the financial crisis, the fiscal hawks took over in Europe, and they imposed austerity measures, right? So what we're talking about is austerity, right? We're talking about pulling back on spending. But they really had to pull back on spending in Europe, and it wasn't very good economically. And my recollection is that they kind of, they didn't really accomplish what they were trying to accomplish, because the European fiscal position is still pretty not good, right? So the sooner you can get it done, the less painful it will be. And to hear from Rand Paul that there's a lot of spending that we really just don't need to do, and we can get rid of and get back into a healthy fiscal position is very encouraging. But we'll see if it actually happens. That's the problem, right? Because Joe Biden is like, nope, we're not gonna, if the Republicans agreed right now, today, to raise the debt ceiling, would they talk about reducing government spending? Yeah, probably not. Now, the one thing that Rand Paul did say, though, was that Republicans would have to accept a decrease in military funding, and the Democrats would have to accept a decrease in benefits. So, yeah. So one of the things that I saw yesterday, get this, I was actually like, so your retirement age, right? What is the Social Security retirement age? Is 66, 67, right? And they were talking about moving it up. And so I was reading about this on Reddit, and people on Reddit were like so mad about it. Well, not so mad. I mean, it's Democrats, but they were acting like it was a huge deal. And I was like, isn't like just increasing the retirement age by a year or two like one of the mildest measures that they can take to right the issue with Social Security and so forth? Like, why do you recommend any specific past live streams where I could learn a bit more? Don't want to constantly annoy. Well, so first of all, Ismail Ali, that is 100% why we're here. So the big advantage that you get with me that you can't really get anywhere else is that you have somebody that you can ask questions to, and we usually have plenty of free time to make time for you. I mean, of course, the stream has been doing really well lately. YouTube channel's been doing really well, but we're not so big that, we're just like completely swamped, right? We've got a whole 2 hours to talk about this stuff, right? But there are some specific YouTube videos that I really highly recommend you watch. So I have a series here. If you go to like my playlists, there is the order, DOM and order flow playlist. So if you watch those videos, you'd be much more up to speed about what's going on. And then the videos that are really the most valuable are the last 2 videos in that series. So one of them is about the proven market behaviors. So these are what we call stylized behaviors. So like a general fact about the market behavior that has been proven multiple times. So we know that the market does this sort of a thing, right? So proven stylized behaviors. So that one is first, the really big one is that tells you the things that like we know the market does, and from a technical perspective we can kind of look at, right? And then the second one is the inelastic market hypothesis, because of the inelastic nature of the market really explains all of the difficulties and everything else that we have to go through in order to, in order to trade. Why it's so hard and all of these sorts of things. And why the market doesn't, well, we know the market reacts to news, but it doesn't always react to news the way that we expect it to. Sometimes the market just moves completely contrary to what the fundamentals, which is why does that happen? Inelastic market hypothesis not only helps us explain all of those long-standing questions in the financial markets, but also kind of provides us a way forward. It shows us what is the approach that we really need to use if we want to go empirically and try and trade. And long story short is that we have to find information that will predict future orders. So that's what we go for, right? So the reason why I say that those things are so important is because your natural tendency is going to be to come in and try and use technical analysis on order flow to say, oh, I saw a big order. That means X% of this happening and I'm going to trade it this way. And that doesn't work very well. You need to have information that will predict future orders is what you want to do. And then you should see, if you know what those future orders are going to be, then if you know the stylized behavior of markets, you can totally predict how it's going to play out. And then you can really get into the really short time frame tactical decisions that you have to make, right? So that's the most important stuff. Yeah, I realize technical analysis doesn't give enough information based off what I've seen from the DOM is way more predictable. Yeah, well, so just to be clear, what I mean from technical analysis is using market generated information. So like the price, everything that comes from the exchange, essentially. Your price, your orders, everything, even the level 2 data that we're getting from the order flow and so forth, right? And using that information to try and predict what the market is going to do next, right? So past exchange generated data does not predict future price very well at all, right? But there are definitely some things that you'll see in the DOM. You'll definitely see some things in the DOM that are like what you said, more consistent, right? So especially when you look at whether the market orders are buy or sell, and like there's an imbalance between the buy orders and the sell orders on a specific day, right? You will tend to find that imbalance be persistent throughout the whole day, because there are large institutions executing meta orders by splitting it out over time. So those imbalances tend to persist, right? But just because the market orders are all buy doesn't mean that it can't go down or that you can't lose money, right? That's why you have to understand these kind of tactical things. To understand how the market maker kind of makes their bids and offers harder and softer so that there's a certain amount of noise in the market that you kind of have to account for if you can make a trade. Yeah, I don't mean just using, yeah, that's the thing is there's like kind of an evolution that I think people go through. It's like first thing you do is you come in and you do chart patterns, right? You say, oh, there's head and shoulders, there's this pattern, and then you do a head and shoulder and it doesn't play out the way that it's supposed to, and you're like, this is trash. So then you start using indicators, because that's like what's available in your charting platform. So you start using RSI and MACD and moving averages and all these sorts of things, right? And that doesn't work very well because those indicators are all kind of lagging. So the almost all of the analysis that you can run on like single time price series, so like the price of an individual stock is lagged, basically, right? What you're doing is you're lagging the data series in exchange for smoothness, to kind of take out the noise, right? So that doesn't work very well either. There are some indicators. So I tell you, there's this guy named Euler, and he is actually quite smart. I would say that the stuff that he has, it's not enough, but he does have ways of taking the noise out of the market and without having the lag, and it is effective. It's not enough to make money on its own, but it is better than your standard indicators. So there's that. Anyways, so then you move to the price action world, where they say, well, you can only use the current information, right? So they're very focused on like what the current price is, but they're focused on what the current price is compared to a point in the past, right? So, you know, like if we made a new swing high or a new swing low, for instance, or they're doing candlestick patterns or something like that. So after a while, you realize that, oh, this is just what I was doing before. It's the original technical analysis chart patterns, but by a different name, price action, is the evolution that you get to on that. So then you find order flow, right? And the problem is that when you find order flow, you've been trained this whole time to do technical analysis. So what do people do? They apply technical analysis to order flow, right? There are stylized behaviors that you can find and point out, and you can come and look at the market and say, okay, like over the past, actually it's 650. Man, I yapped a long time there, didn't I? Over the last 10 to 20 minutes, we've had a pretty consistent buy pressure going higher. It's not a ton of volume, but it's about, let's see here, we got down to 29. So it's about 7,000 contracts, which is about average. So average sized move. There wasn't any like super huge orders throughout all of this, but you can see pretty consistent, like just push it up, right? So I could come in and say, yeah, I should buy, right? I have some reasons to think that there might be more buying here this morning than usual. In fact, we might see a lot of buying going into the Federal Reserve meeting. I don't know. There might be a lot of buying that that the funds have to do to rebalance before the end of the month, and I think that it would probably be selling stocks and buying bonds. But that's what I'm saying. You combine them, right? As I can say, okay, I know because of the end of the month that they're probably going to buy, right? And then I can see the confirmation of it in the order flow. I can see that there's a consistent pressure to the long side. So now I just have to look at, okay, a move that comes back where it was mostly pulling, you know, where it was mostly the market makers playing games with us rather than like strong flow pushing back the other way. And then maybe we can find a good position, right? So what I'm doing is I'm using what I know about the markets to kind of help me get a better entry, to know when I need to take profits or get out and manage to trade. But I'm not using that information as the sole basis to decide which direction I want to get in and to actually enter into the trade, right? Because ultimately, there can be new orders, right? So I could see a pattern. Let's just say, for instance, that, well, right now we're seeing that order flow to the long side, right? Actually, let me come back over here real quick. So this is what we're talking about. This kind of gentle slope right here coming up. So we've got a pretty persistent move up in cumulative delta. That's all market buy orders minus all market sell orders. Okay, so autocorrelation in the direction of the orders. They're pushing up quite persistently, right? Okay, so but what if somebody came out and what if Nick Timmerose tweeted all of a sudden and said that the Federal Reserve are actually leaning towards doing a 50 basis point hike instead of a 25 basis point hike on Wednesday, right? That pretty unlikely to happen. Okay, I'm almost guarantee you it's going to be a 25 basis point increase. But let's just say that the Wall Street Journal had a story out that said that maybe the hike would be bigger than the market is expecting, right? Then what would happen? the market would sell. The market would sell 100%, right? So what would be a better thing to do? To go based off of what the past and current market was doing, or to try and find something that is going to predict the future orders, right? You want to have something that predicts the future orders, right? As soon as that news hits that, oh, they're going to do a larger increase, you know exactly what the market's going to do for the next 30 minutes, if not the rest of the day, right? Because you have a piece of information that so strongly predicts the future orders, right? Okay, so that's a super extreme example, right? But here's the thing, is that like a fund rebalancing at the end of the month is an incredibly powerful force that people kind of like ignore. That they don't realize how powerful and influential these really are, right? So I'm not 100% sure that it's to the long side, but generally speaking, the end of the month is positive for the treasuries. So I do think that coincides. So I do think that we're looking to take a long today if we take one. I think that I would want to get really good risk reward and everything on it. And at the moment, I'm not 100% sure that this is the greatest moment. Plus, well, so we got an impulse. It's probably, we might get another impulse before the S&P 500 opens. We got about 30 minutes for that. So we got that going, right? But that's how we're going. So anyways, the point is, the thing that makes you want to trade should be a piece of information that wasn't generated by the exchange that is very predictive of future orders, right? So 1755 there at the highs. At least the regular session highs is indicative of like a kind of a breakout trade, but in this situation it's a 50-50. If we were on a really strong trend up day, then that one's going to work every day, but in this current situation it's 50-50. And you can see that they kind of traded down. So we'll see if they bust it. Sorry, I don't mean like it's a level break is what we call it, a level break setup. It's my favorite setup, but in this situation, it's just random. We need to know which way the orders are actually going to come. Considering hedging my long equities with some shorts in the euro, can anyone convince me that that's not a good idea? I mean, it's not a terrible idea, but you're probably going to make more money if you don't hedge it. So here's the scenario that I see playing out over the next month or so. Okay, there is when you get in a situation where like interest rates have risen and markets overall are kind of down, you can run into a situation that we're in right now where pension funds are actually overfunded. So pension funds are like 110% of what they need to be, which means that they can take 10% of their portfolios and allocate it to treasuries that are safe yield and still be fine, right? So if you're a pension fund, you do that because it's like, oh, okay, I did a good job, I made the money, so I should just, take the easy route out, right? Lock it in, essentially. Okay, so there's over $1 trillion worth. There's a story on Bloomberg, and apparently this has already been going on for a while, but there's $1 trillion worth of money that is likely to be allocated to the treasury market from the pension industry. Okay, but so with that in mind, what is the Federal Reserve going to do on Wednesday? That's the thing that's on everybody's mind right now, right? And everything that the Federal Reserve has been saying lately has been kind of on the hawkish side, but we have gotten a lot of really bad looking soft data in the past month. The numbers in January, a lot of the numbers just looked really, really bad, right? We're not seeing that come through in the hard numbers yet. I think we probably will. And it's kind of an interesting situation because that data like looks really, really bad, and I really do have to put like the we could go into a recession scenario back on the table for sure. But at the moment, it looks like they're going to be okay, right? And so the Federal Reserve has been saying, well, we're more concerned about a wage price spiral sort of a thing, inflation coming back, and so they're going to continue to be hawkish. They want to raise interest rates 2 more times, and then they want to hold it there for a long time, even though the market is kind of suggesting that this could push us into recession and they'll have to back off, right? So the Federal Reserve wants to be hawkish, right? But if pension funds are going to come in and buy the treasuries anyways, that kind of gives them cover, right? That kind of gives them cover to be really hawkish, but not have financial conditions tighten too much because the pension funds have to come in and buy it, right? So what you could see, and what I'm hoping we see, is the Federal Reserve comes out on Wednesday and is really hawkish, and the market throws a real fit, right? Market throws a real fit. Treasuries come back up above towards like 3.6 maybe, let's just say, and we get a good buy opportunity because those pension funds are probably just going to come back in and buy it right back up. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. And that is a trade that's all based on what? Information. It's not exchange generated information. Information that has, a certain predictive quality about what the future orders are going to be, right? Those pension funds, they have to do something. So we know that those orders are going to come through in some fashion, and we can watch for them. Let's see here, checking a couple of things here on Twitter. My local governments are concerned about people not bundling up enough and getting hypothermia. I have to go out today, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I bundle up extra good. Take the scarf with me, probably. Hopefully by the time, because I have to go somewhere this afternoon, hopefully the roads are a little better. Because I shoveled my walkway last night and it was still a skating rink. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's below freezing right now. I tell you what, man, the best skiing right now. I am not skiing. I haven't skied in over a decade. I really want to go and get a snowboard for next season and watch that there won't be any snow. But right now you're getting like some of the best skiing conditions you could ever get, because not only is there like a ton of snow up there in the mountains, and I mean a ton of snow, okay, but it is all powder. It is just like if I went out there into my front yard right now and tried to make a snowball, I wouldn't be able to do it. You could just go and tighten your fist as hard as you could and it would still just turn into powder. It's that cold. So cold and dry air, cold temperatures gives you powdery snow. That's why they call it the greatest snow on earth here in Utah. But yeah, it's pretty cold. Oh, okay. So you asked another question that I wasn't paying attention here. I'm currently a computer science major. Do you think there's a lot of algorithmic opportunities with the order flow? I built a very basic trading bots in the past for fun. Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Oh man. So there is a book. So I talk about this a lot and I share it in my stylized behavior of markets video. It's called Trades, Quotes, and Prices, Financial Markets Under the Microscope by Jean-Philippe Bouchard, Julius Bernard, Jonathan Bonnier, and Martin Gould. And these are basically the top researchers, or some of the top, they're not all of the top, but some of the top researchers in the area of market microstructure, which is the study of how the rules of the market result in certain stylized behavior in the markets or optimal strategies, right? And that book is where we get the key stylized behaviors of the markets, like that because of large meta orders, imbalances in the order flow tend to be, there tends to be a strong persistence in it, right? And if you are a computer science person, it's a gold mine. It's basically like I wouldn't say a blueprint. I wanted to say blueprint. All of the key pieces of information and math that you would ever want to making a market making algorithm is in that book. It's like the really key important pieces that you would want are in there. So yeah, if you're a computer science person, let me tell you what, if you're still in school, you read that book, or you go into a graduate program, where you're studying market microstructure, right? And then that is the gateway to, programming these algorithms for a big bank or a high frequency trading firm or something like that, right? So I don't do that stuff because, I'd have to have a co-located server, and what I've found so far is not that great. And, I could go and build that system and use everything that's in that book to make a algorithm. I don't know if it'd be super great or not. It's just not my focus right now, because you really need the resources for it. You really need like the super fast connections and all that jazz, right? So, but yeah, you could get into doing it professionally, and that's a good gig. That's a good gig, man. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I have, the videos on NinjaTrader programming it's short. I think you'll be really surprised how easy it is to program in NinjaTrader. Like full stop. If you want to write a automated trading algorithm of some sort, NinjaTrader is probably the fastest way to get started. Trading view is pretty quick too, but I think that NinjaTrader system is far superior to what you got with PineScript. PineScript is kind of weird and limited. But in NinjaTrader, you're doing C#. So you got something that is really, really, really easy to get started with. All the tools are built into it. Text editors built into it. Yeah, it's so easy to get started. And then I have a bunch of like tools. So if you go to speculatorseth.com and you buy my paid suite, I have a bunch of tools that were kind of designed to help you try and take these order flow concepts and program them into your robots. All right, I think we're back. Oh, that's really weird. OBS just like completely died on me. I had to like end task and restart it. That's never happened before. Well, it just like the whole screen froze and everything. It's a really unusual. Never happened before. I think we're back though. Can you hear me, guys? The three of you that are still here. There we go. Yeah, it looks like we're back. How far back did I just refreshed? Okay. Like when I had just quit, or what I was just saying that this most recent, this kind of selling right here, it has me a little bit spooked. It's too much. I don't know how far back it goes. What was the last thing I was saying before it died on you? Yeah, you should be able to like rewind if you want, but I don't know what it's gonna do to the. There's gonna be a missed frame. Could be, and it could be a lot longer than I thought. Like I might have been frozen a lot longer than I realized. That's really weird. So you know what though? I'm a little concerned because so I got a new video card. I forgot to mention this. I got a new video card. I thought it was supposed to come today, but it ended up coming on Friday. Oh, I just showed the book and spoke about Ninja. Oh man, so then I think I was talking a little bit more about. We were talking about. I was talking about Tesla. So Tesla was on a big rally last week, and that's kind of one of the things that's had me thinking that if the Federal Reserve comes out and is hawkish on Wednesday, that the market could take a big hit, and that could be a good buying opportunity. Yeah, so it's probably 5 to 10 minutes, probably more than 5 minutes actually, before I realized. But yeah, so I hope that it has nothing to do with the new video card, but the new video card has definitely like improved things. Like my machine is more responsive. In fact, so I haven't tried it here. We come and do the pen thing. Well, it's still, when I've got everything up and running, that my pen is still not smooth. So I don't know what's causing that. It could be it wants to like dominate the processor or something. I don't know what causes that. Yep, I'm using NVENC to encode. For a long time I did the encoding on the processor, but eventually the markets heated up and we decided that we needed that extra processing power. But like if I just come and look at like my task manager here now, well, it says, yeah, I'm using about 38% CPU. So like I'm using less CPU, and OBS is like the biggest hog of it. And OBS is using the GPU. Interesting. But like for instance, if I come over here and I adjust my chart, for instance, yeah, when I tried doing that the other day, it was a little bit chunky. Oh yeah, you want to see my specs? This is an old machine actually. I'm thinking about upgrading this year. That was kind of part of the driver behind the getting the new video card. Does it not show it? Oh yeah, there it is right there. Yep, I have a 1700X. And then I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM at 2900 megahertz. And then the graphics card, does it show? Is there one for that GPU? Yep. 3060 Ti. So I was playing Minecraft with it yesterday, the RTX Minecraft. I was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I really liked it. So I do think though we're kind of getting to the point where a new CPU would probably benefit us. It wouldn't be like necessary, but a new CPU would probably help our performance a little bit. Yeah, I remember when it was the bee's knees, but 4 generations old, we'll begin to show it. Yeah. Well, and if I build a new machine, so I've kind of been like grabbing pieces, you know? So I have a second computer case, and now I got the video card, got that box sitting over there. So I just saved the video card from my machine. So I think what will end up happening is I will just take all of the stuff that I've got in this desktop and make a second machine and put it over there. And you know, the kids, they have their computers downstairs, because that was one of the problems, was that they would want to come in and play, and then they were, especially Everett is so effing loud. Oh my gosh. My stepson, just when he's playing, he just sits there and screams into the mic the whole time. It's so effing annoying. So we couldn't have him in there. But I want a machine for like my wife to use. So I could come in here, wipe this machine, turn it into more of a media machine. I think I would still do my video editing over here, but like I could do like music and stuff. I don't know. You've seen those setups to use 2 pieces? Yeah, I could do that too. Then that would definitely save us some performance as well, wouldn't it? Yeah. But I don't know. Like the whole thing is I do this and create the setup for my wife, and then maybe she doesn't use it. So I've been trying to get her to try video editing, or because she's a flight attendant, and she keeps being like, I really don't want to go back to flight attendant. She's been off for almost a year because she had a baby, but she kind of doesn't want to go back. I'm like, well, I could, in the amount of time that you have left, you could learn to code and I could teach you and everything, but she doesn't have the focus for it when their babies are around. Of course, she uses it to trade. Well, she has some attributes that are really good for trading, but she's just not interested in what the markets are doing at all. So I don't think that would work out. I think she'd be really good at video editing. I really try and get her to do video editing. But she's been making stuff with her. She's got one of those vinyl cutters. It's not a cry cut. I forget what it's called. We should make another one. So she made these decals to go on the back of the car, and it looks so nice. It's just in the window, but they look so nice. The back of the car. And she'll make like water bottles out of them. So she's been doing all of that. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a new desk, and this desk will move over to there, and we'll move the computer over there. And then with all of the extra space that we have on the desk, we will put like the cutter and all of that. And then maybe get like a 3D printer too. Is I think what we'll do. And then hopefully she spend more time on it. We'll see. If she has a machine that's just for that, maybe she'll spend more time on it. Well, luckily, despite our issues, looks like we've recovered really well. We've got a lot of people watching now, so 3D printers are great if you have kids. Oh, really? I've been looking at them, and there's a lot of really impressive stuff with 3D printers. I would like to do I think that I'm just gonna have to get your regular one. But the ones that are that use resin are so interesting to me. I don't want to have like the resin and the smell in my house, and the kid would get into it. And yeah, resin's probably not the right thing for us right now, but I think they're so cool. Like the technology and everything, like the whole idea behind it is so clever, I think. Oh, let's see here. I need to make sure I got the right thing. Mohammed A.L. Arian, 2 takeaways from the notable inflow into digital asset investment products reported by CoinShares Go. It is consistent with the recent general loosening of financial conditions and the associated increase in risk-taking, and displays greater differentiation by investors. So Mohammed A.L. Arian, he was saying last week, was pushing really hard that the Federal Reserve should do a larger interest rate hike than the market is expecting. And I just don't understand why he feels so strongly that the Federal Reserve needs to be incredibly aggressive at this time. But seeing the crypto market pump a little bit, and seeing Tesla pump a little bit, and a little while ago we were seeing some of the like Bed Bath and Beyond and those stocks seeing a pump. It sure seems to me like the instant that the Federal Reserve backs off and the financial conditions ease even a little bit, that you're just going to get all of this leverage flooding into the market again. I think that they might have a larger problem here in that people have kind of figured out the game with the options. And that there's going to need to be some regulation of it. At the very least, your margin needs to factor in the impact of your selling. Okay, so we got a stack on both sides here at 9.5 and 10. So that's just before the market open in here. That's really interesting that the market makers are so willing to put liquidity out here now. And outside, just one tick outside of it, you got 2,000 on each side. So there's some interesting liquidity. That the liquidity, like an overarching change in the liquidity like that is something that we really got to take note of. Sometimes that can be a strong indication of somebody coming in and executing a large meta order. So it's just it happening so close to the S&P 500 opening is really weird. Some volume coming through there now. They take it bid. The spread in the micros is coming in a little bit too. Something's definitely happening out. First impulse in the S&P 500 is long. Kremlin says Putin and the Saudi Crown Prince discuss OPEC Plus by phone. So I see it ticking up and down there, but I'm not seeing the micro change. First impulse in the E-mini was definitely long, but it's not such a strong move. It's not strong compared to like last week's. Of course, they may just be getting started, so let's see. Okay, so there's a good example of the 30-year just ticked down 3 ticks, and that's causing our 10-year micro to move, even though the ZN, which really should be called the 7-year, has not moved. Well, I'm gonna take it. Okay, reasonable entry. Reasonable entry, but it not quite sure they're quite ready to go yet. Okay. Oh no. So my data feed just freeze? I'll get this over here. Okay, there we go. We're okay. We're okay. So we did tick up there, but it's not going yet. Oh my gosh, what the hell? Okay, edge clear. Okay, Rhythmic. That was weird. I think we're okay though. Okay, so I'm anticipating buying flows coming into the end of the month. Is my primary thing. And then on top of that, they were finally giving me a good price. I was seeing the liquidity start to thicken up, especially on the bid side. I don't know if it's the best trade yet though. It's not really. It's not really continuing as much as I would like. We're still right where we were, so it's not like it's bad or anything, but I definitely liked the entry though. Yeah, that's where I wanted it to be centered at. So I don't like the way that just played out, because even though there was some degree of, yeah, I mean, we ticked up like what, 3 ticks, right? Not a ton of a change in the volume or in the cumulative delta or anything, and these offers kind of came back afterwards as well. So it kind of looks like the market makers on both sides are like totally willing to put money here. The price that they gave me isn't quite right. Well, whatever. Well, this is kind of odd order flow that we're seeing here now. It's just a little extra fidgety, you know? Finicky. S&P 500 still kind of fighting it out. I mean, it looks like that probably resolved to the upside, but it looks like they're putting up a real fight there. So it hasn't been so long that I really need to be super panicked about it or anything, but not necessarily seeing the flow that we really want to be in, right? It's not one MBO over 299 in ZN at all. Well, that is weird, especially like, how do we have so many 2000 lots? Like, how do we have so many levels at 2000 if there's not any big orders? This is a little weird. Well, that was a strong uptick. Love them 808s, man. Oh. So hype. What the fuck? So what I'm weirding out about now is that the 10 they were able to take it offer again, and like nobody upbid or offered anything, so there was a one tick spread there at 10 for a moment, which we see occasionally, but is very rare. And after seeing, a couple of big upticks and all that sort of thing, that's really bizarre. That's something that you're more likely to see when the market is just like completely dead and nothing interesting is happening, right? Well, somebody decided to hit in the micro. Yeah, why market maker like this? This is really weird, right? NASDAQ killer. What the fuck? What? Okay, it just went offer. Somebody hit 25 into it. I think that might have been a misclick. So I think that somebody hit, was like, oh, okay, went offer, I can buy a ton more. And only 25 went off at 10, and almost 2,000 went off at 10 half, just like that. So the buyer is definitely there, but oh man, and now you're seeing a decent amount of retail traders getting involved here at the lows in the micro 10-year. Oh, this is getting really interesting, guys. Something's going on. There's like a real fight here. Holy shit. Holy shit. What the fuck is going on? Well, it seems to me like someone in the micro treasury yield futures looks really confident. I've never seen anything play out like that, not even close. I should note that when we go and we look at the sign of the orders, it's still very gently long. So like we had that decline, we had that like kind of that pullback that kind of got us into this range that we're in, But then that was only like one bar, and then everything else after that has just been gentle up. With all that said, we haven't really seen the 10-year move or reach the top of the range yet. And there's an uptick, but it's not a strong bid. So we may still be in a liquidity hole here. But look at that. You say ZT near the lows? Really? It does, when I come back and I look over at the charts, it definitely seems to be the case that the buying is coming in more so on the long end of the curve. So it looks like they are putting a flattener on. There's a downtick there that's not particularly helpful. Yeah, I mean, the things that matter are still slightly tilted to our side, so I don't think that we should panic yet, but I am a little nervous now. That downtick doesn't look good. But somebody's still hitting them. That's interesting. I hope that's not any of you. Well, maybe it would be a good thing if that's one of you guys, but I'm really wondering why there's somebody who seems to be so aggressive in selling the micros. So they might go over here at 09.5. I just want to note that there hasn't been like super strong absorption against it or anything yet. Still the big order at 09. I have to say there's definitely something going on here. I'm not sure if we have enough information to really predict who's going to win. There's the S&P 500 hitting into the highs, and the bid at 09.5 is puffing up. But the market orders aren't coming through. Okay, so there's the 30-year upticks back to 26. That helps a little bit. No, the 5-year ticks down. But the liquidity providers on both sides here in the 10-year are still holding their ground. Oh, there's a Bank of England gilt sell results coming up here. Now the bid at 09.5 is almost 3. Well, 27. 27's high though. Like, I tell you what, there's a lot more liquidity on here, man. There's an uptick. Not the strongest uptick, but good enough. Over 1,000. You know, if I see it tick up, you know, I would like to see more than 1,000 stack. But okay, so I just heard the results of that. So I don't know if that's why the market's moving, but there wasn't like when I heard from the news squawk the results, so we didn't see like a flood of volume and movement or anything like that. It's still just kind of chilling here. S&P 500 still pushing to the upside. Slow and sure. And I'm seeing a bit of a pump in Bitcoin at the moment as well. Not really seeing the currencies moving, but a little bit of a pump in Bitcoin. Maybe we're in a traffic jam because ZB's highs were 130 even, so option roll and hedging across it could be. I mean, it's not quite as extreme as it was, but like those offers are pretty thick, right? And we definitely had this like signs of liquidity hole, right? Like just as we were starting to get activity, and I thought that maybe we were gonna break out, we started getting the signs of the liquidity hole. So I think that probably to some extent there must be large player both buying and selling. But the thing that I find particularly unusual about this move in particular is that there is somebody in the micro yield futures selling this extremely aggressively. You can just see them even right there, 3.544. Like they're just taking out bids. I mean, that's got to be somebody big, because they were trading like 80 contracts and stuff. Like they were just taking out everything that the liquidity provider had there. And you know, like that was enough volume. That was enough volume that if you're the market maker in the micro treasury yield futures, like how do you deal with that if it continues going? You know, that it is really weird. It does kind of make me wonder if the person that's doing the selling really knows what they're doing. But I'm also hearing on my news squawk that apparently they had a technical issue in oil earlier in the day. So maybe that had to do with the selling that we had, but they've been positive since then. So they're keeping that bid at 10 pretty decently. I mean, that's the best that we've had. That uptick at 10.5 isn't super great, but you know, let's see. They might finally take the 11. I'm seeing more buying in the 5 years, so that's encouraging. There you go. There's an uptick at 11. And do we hit 11.5? There we go. That's good. So I would like to see more buying come through in the 10-year, but that was some good ticks. I'm very pleased that we were able to stick with that trade. Okay, now they're gearing up. So there's that order at 12, of course, but if they bust through that order at 12, this could be gangbusters, right? Okay, 14.94 traded 11.5 is... interesting. And by the way, in the micros, the volume taking out the bids at every price continues to come through there. Oh man, I think that the market maker in the micros might be losing money here, man. I mean, for them, it's not the end of the world or anything, but I think that they probably got the market maker offsides there, man. The ZB is definitely so again, we seem to be seeing flattening. There's much more coming into the long end of the curve. So I wonder if this is like pension fund buying, would they want to do it in the long end of the curve? I'm not so sure that that's what they would want to do. In fact, they might, if they're being super conservative, they might rather do it on the short end. But I don't really know. And I'm concerned for the market maker in the micro 10-year. So somebody has been coming in and very aggressively selling it here. Like usually the biggest bids that you'll see. So the first place where I noticed it was 3,546. So we haven't moved far enough that I think that they'd be super panicking yet. But like, hey Hulu, I haven't seen you in a while. It was like, so normally you can see right now, like the bid is 88 and 92 in the micros, right? And you know, like that's the biggest bid. And you came in and you saw a guy come in and hit like 80s like 3 or 4 times. So like there is like some unusual selling in the micro treasury yield. And it's enough that, you know, it's enough that it's more than what the market maker is usually putting out. So I don't know, maybe they just average down and eventually they get it all out, but it seems to me like the market maker might be doing something weird. That's actually a good thought, actually. It's in the January contract. Could it be indiscriminate just to roll to the February contract? That's very possible. I mean, so coming back over to here, the main thesis I've got going is that we're likely to see buying into the month end. I mean, this right here was really good, but we still haven't like come through and dealt. But like, look, it's coming in the 30-year. They're buying it in the 30-year, and when you look at the spreads, we're flattening. So that probably explains that. So I guess we call that a bull flattener, right? Now, it's not like the liquidity above us that the sell side is just completely running, you know, tucking their tail between their legs and running. There's still that 2,000 lot at 12. Man, the human brain is a weird thing sometimes. So yesterday we watched Bird Box, which I hadn't seen before. That Netflix show with Sandra Bullock. And for some reason, that some thought about that show just had popped into my head for a brief second. It wasn't even like a thought about the show. It was just like a brief image of it. And then I'm like, why did that come up in my mind? Oh yeah, I watched that show yesterday. Who cares? Okay, so they just took 12 and only 961 traded. Now the big lot is at 12.5, and that is the high. Yes, that is equal to the last swing high. So now we'll see if we get the level break. The spread it's showing me is 3.551. Still? Oh, in the 10-year. Well, here's your level break setup. The offer's pulling. Offer's pulling. Oh, you're in the February contract now. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, these micros, they really do trade quite helpfully up until the very last day. So I think you'll still see decent volume in them even tomorrow. In fact, I could be wrong. Maybe you can check for me, but it seems to me that the volume did not switch over the last 2 months until the 1st. Yeah, I just pulled them up when you complained to see what broke. Well, I'm not really complaining. It's kind of good. I'm just, it's unusual, right? Yeah. We're seeing some unusual order flow. Let's just put it that way, right? I don't think, I think that we have maybe some good explanations for or theories as for why it could be happening, and it actually kind of coincides with some of the playbook that we had coming into today. But it's just really incredibly interesting order flow to me, I think the two things that okay, we're back now. This is what happens when I don't know, Zach. It's weird. Okay. I think that's my cue, folks. Okay, thanks. Somebody was like, he wants out. So why did I get out there? I am, what taking a trade like that, or an exit like that makes me a little bit nervous, because I feel like this is like turning into a really good trend, and this might not even be halfway through, but we're seeing like a lot of volume trade at 13.5. So often what will happen here is there will be a little further extension and they'll come back to 13.5. Let's see. They were DDoSing me, so they don't. But why would they cause? How would they be able to cause my OBS to freeze? That doesn't make much sense. Where did I get out at? 26? 28. Oh, okay. So is that right there? See, they're already looking like that. They shouldn't have got out. But the other thing is that me having technical issues is kind of making me a little nervous too. So I'm kind of sitting here like, well, $20 isn't bad. Hacker man. I think it's funny that you immediately go to hacker, because that was my first thought too, but doesn't matter, still made money. I got the $20 and I'm not giving it back, so. I don't know. They're hanging out right there at the highs though. This really does look like the one that, like, you get the big move, it kind of comes back, it pushes through and then comes back to it a little bit and then maybe even continues trending. Like this, we have all of the signs of a strong trend here, right? The only thing though, and this is the one thing that, well, let's say two things that kind of have me a little bit concerned. One is that we're just seeing a lot of volume trade here after the breakout. Okay, so absorption. And two, if I come over to here and I look at the cumulative delta in the 10-year, it never truly went to the long side. There was volume in the 5 and the 30, sorry, 5 and 30, but not in the 10-year. So that's a little odd. I don't know if it's a big deal. It probably isn't, but and you know what? It looks like everything is on the upside, except for the Japanese yen did not really participate with the treasury on that up move. So that's a little odd. I got, let's see here. Oh, when I come over and I look at my YouTube window, my window that is like watching the stream is kind of churning. I'll just refresh that tab, should fix that. Are we able to go in here? OBS does have some logs, doesn't it? There we go. Okay, so that's that. So let's do some searching here. OBS logs. Yeah, let's... I definitely identified the beginning of a distribution area, so... I might be really kicking myself later if this like really moves, but and you know what, like I wouldn't be surprising to me at all to see like 3.5 for instance, so they have plenty of room to move, but the volume just kind of, I tell you what, sometimes it'll just keep going and you kick yourself for getting out, but sometimes it will just fall back down so quickly and you're so glad that you got out. So, and lately it's been more the latter. So. Oh. OBS settings. Then you can do open configuration folder. Nah, that's not right. Oh, there we go. Very good. So here's the first log when we died the first time. Look, they're pushing through. Oh. Look at that. Max audio buffering reached. Source desktop audio is lagging. And then this one, it gave me no such warnings. It just died. I had used the Zoom relatively recently to that, but the selected preset is deprecated. Use P1 to P7. Oh. Oh, you know what? I probably have this, yeah. Hmm. Don't know. Gives me some ideas to investigate after the stream, but it doesn't give us a super clear answer. Does look like I might have gotten out just a slight bit early, but like the price that I got wasn't the best. Well, I mean, look, we could have gotten at least 3 ticks lower. It's definitely Hacker Man. Well, hopefully we last to the end of the stream. Hopefully we last to the end of the stream. You know what? The over here in the treasury here. Oh my gosh, now it's being dumb. Oh, that sucks. Trying to zoom in here. So I stream until the top of the hour. So from basically 8:20 to 11 o'clock Eastern time. And every day. Well, I mean every weekday. So you can go back in the live streams and you can literally see every day of trading for the last 6 years now. Isn't that nuts? So, well, so I am a little bit concerned about this trend up. It seems to be reversing. It seems to be that somebody is selling this. Yeah, 1.6 thousand streams. Yeah. It is dedicated. You know what was so funny is like one of the things that I remember was I really like to watch well, I haven't watched him in a while because he just doesn't stream as much, but Devin Nash was one guy that I really enjoyed watching. You know, he's just a serious business-minded person. And his streams are entertaining. So one of the things that like really irks him though, because his thing has basically become like, I can help you, you know, not I can help you, but you know, he's the guru about being the guru. Right? I find this over and over again that like some of the most popular influencers end up being influencers. So it's the person that like is teaching you how to make better YouTube videos or how to become a better live streamer or whatever the deal is, right? So that's kind of what he comes into. So he's always got all these people emailing him like, oh, I'm trying really hard. What's wrong in this? And his biggest complaint is that he'll get these people that say they're trying so hard and everything, but then he'll go and he'll look at like how they've been streaming and everything. And he's like, well, you don't have any, you stream like once a week, if that, you know, and you're not streaming at all. You just streamed a few times and then nobody came and watched and you gave up, right? And I'm over here sitting here like, yeah, but I stream like literally every day, literally every day for 6 years. But I think that, because for us, you know, with the amount of time that we've been doing it and everything else like that, you know, you would want the stream to be like 100 to a couple thousand people watching it at any given time, but we tend to stay around the 20 to 30. And it's just like the group of people that want to watch it are like really dedicated income every day. And then, you know, like YouTube kind of does its thing. And so YouTube doesn't necessarily promote the stream to that many people. And so we don't get those extra viewers. Yeah, you got to use the $3.99, the $4,000 course that has a secret sauce or that. I guess that's what it is, man. I guess that's what it is. I don't know. Like, I go back and forth on that question all the time because on one side, I mean, I like to stream and I want the stream to be as successful as possible, right? But like, there's a limit to how successful I want the stream to be. like I think that if the stream was getting over 1,000 people, I would probably have to do things and change the stream up so that you know, those of you guys that are like the truly dedicated people could still get in and get the same kind of access that you have to me as you have right now, right? So I would maybe have to turn it into like only subscribers or something like that. Speaking of courses, I'm guessing you don't do one. Yeah, I don't have like a course. I mean, so from my perspective, not that there's anything wrong with selling a course, although I think a lot of the quote unquote courses out there are not really worth your money. But you know, I can't really speak to that. It's not like I don't buy courses. I guess if somebody wanted to give me free access to their course, I would go and do a review of it, but that'd be a big risk because I'd be pretty likely to say you don't really get that much from it. But from my perspective, if I was going to make a course, why wouldn't I just make it into a YouTube video, right? I mean, yeah, I could probably put together a list of like 20 YouTube videos and sell it for $1,000 a pop, but meh. Trying to avoid courses and learn from everything as free as possible. Yeah. I mean, the big thing is that the best information that I have found has come from peer-reviewed books. Or not books, but peer-reviewed studies. Yeah, you promote the book without getting anything in return. I could put the Amazon link, but I don't think that many people would click on it for it to be worth the Amazon link. But like peer-reviewed studies is where the best information that we as retail traders can get access to, at least. And then there are some books that are like college level textbooks that are kind of based on that stuff. And so that's where the book Trades, Quotes, and Prices, Markets Under the Microscope. That's where that comes from. So that's kind of the whole thing. It's like I could go and I could create a course, but from my perspective, wouldn't it be better to write a book? I feel like that people would get more from a book. So if I was going to do something, it would be a book. I kind of working on a book a little bit. Like when I write stuff for like scripts and everything, I kind of save it and so we can organize it into a book. I've got the book, yeah, for you. Based on what you've told us, Ismail, you should definitely check out that book. He's in computer science right now. See, you could be on the track that I'm on, Ismail, but you could be even further along because now you know me and you know what to do. Because what happened to me was I went to school to learn how to make video games. And then when I got to my senior year, I found out that the video game making industry really sucks. So I went and got really interested in the stock market at that point and went in. And so I knew stuff about stocks and everything. And that's how I was able to get hired at one of the big banks. But if I had gone back and from earlier on in my computer science career said, oh, I want to be really involved in data science, I want to be really involved in machine learning and actively trying to become a quant, you know, at a high frequency trading firm or something like that, right? I would have done a bunch of different stuff. Like I would have gone back and done things differently, maybe. You know, and all of the things that I'm learning right now, I could have learned 10 years ago and would have been different. Well, I don't know how different it would have been. I'm kind of happy about the path that we've taken, because I don't know if I would have come across what I have otherwise. And I think that I would just be left ignorant, you know? Yeah, you probably could. The book, you should buy the book, but I tell you what, what is the name of the site again? Sci-Hub? Yeah, no, it's called Sci-Hub. If you come across a scientific journal and you really can't get it, look it up on Sci-Hub. But you shouldn't have to do that. Here, actually, let me give you a link. So in our field, at least, all of the best guys are putting preliminary versions of their paper up on archive. So usually what happens is they'll put the paper up on archive, you know, like they'll do the peer reviewing and everything, and they'll put it up on archive. And then when a paper does well, then a journal will pick it up, or whatever the deal is. But before the journal picks it up, they want to make some changes and so forth. And so the version that you get on archive is usually not the complete version, but it usually gives you the key information that you want to know. So it's just as good. Other than that book, well, so there's a bunch of other kind of similar books that I could give you, but I really think that's the best of that bunch. What else could we give them? I mean, the other books that I would recommend, you're starting to get into, like the stuff that I'm reading right now, you're starting to get into like really esoteric stuff about with the bond market and pricing and stuff like that. That's probably not super interesting. And the reality is, like, this is the thing that I think is, well, it's the opportunity that I'm exploiting. But the reality is, so let me try and address something. Because, you know, I have the live stream, right? And one of the things that what somebody might say is, well, if trading is competitive, why would you come out and share all of this information? Why would you, as a retail trader, you know, if what you're doing is really so effective, then when you just trade it and whatnot, right? Well, so first of all, I'm not a huge risk taker, if you've noticed, right? I mean, I'm trading futures, but the amount that I like to risk when I trade futures is really small, right? And so I'm not going to become rich from trading the futures the way that it is. This is just straight up. I mean, even if I sized up, I wouldn't expect for this to be like my only source of income, for instance, or to make $1 million from it, for instance. Okay. And part of that is because, yes, what we're doing does have some edge, I believe, although it depends greatly on how well you understand that market, which means that your edge is always changing and it kind of depends on day to day. But the reality is that as a retail trader, the amount of edge that you can truly generate truly is limited. And what I see is that this information that we get from market microstructure is like super slept on in the retail trader market. So essentially what's happening is I see more edge in sharing with people peer-reviewed research right now than there is in the trading itself, because there's just such this huge gap. Retail traders, I mean, it's not like nobody's ever heard of this stuff, because everybody in the industry knows this stuff. It's just they all kind of assumed it's not relevant, or they didn't see how it was relevant to retail traders, so nobody shared it. Or maybe the retail traders weren't interested in it because it was too sophisticated. I don't know. Just flip a coin, shout America, F yeah, and buy and sell it based on your gut. Where are you going to school at, Ismail? Are you in the US or are you in Europe? Because we tend to get more, I think I would say at this point we get more people from Europe than we do from the US. Europe and even some even further away than that. Although we haven't heard anybody from China in a long, long time. Oh, you live in London. Lovely. Yeah, I've been to Europe, but I haven't been to London. I would like to go. I would like to travel, but I don't like traveling, so you know. Well, yeah, after having like such a strong trend there and like a really interesting set of order flow and kind of battle up there and everything, it just like it died down and the whole thing is retracing. So I'm really glad I took my profits. Oh, so replace America F yeah with rural Britannia. Oh man. So I don't know too much about. I wish I knew more about this. So I tell you what, here's the one thing I do know. The coolest market microstructure guys that I know are all French. So it seems to me that if you're in Europe and you want to go to the market microstructure school, you want to go to Paris, right? Should I recenter all of this and everything? Back, let's clear the inside. We got 30 minutes left. And we do want to kind of keep track of where this volume comes through. Now, after all of that action, so one thing we should know is that the yield curve did flatten fairly substantially through that move. So we did get some flattening. So it could be part of a spread trade. Okay. So there could be more flattening in anticipation of the Federal Reserve meeting. I think that taking a flattener ahead of the Federal Reserve meeting is good. Sorry, is a good theory. Okay. But the other thing that Akshay was saying about how, well, you know, for the micros in particular, we're coming into the time where they'd have to unwind their positions and stuff. So note, by the way, the 30 and the 10 both came back really far, and the micro has barely come back. So I think that the market maker over here is sandbagging you a little bit. If you really thought they were going to take it to the other side, I would be buying it. But I'm kind of feeling that you kind of settle in here, and then maybe in 45 minutes, like after the European close, we could see more buying actually. No, I think I see why you might say that actually, but I think I'm going to disagree with you outright on that one. The people that are actually putting out research and teaching this stuff, there are so many more of them are French than anything else. So it's definitely like Chicago in the US is the place to go. I like the University of Chicago. If there's one place that I know in my head, it's like the University of Chicago and Wharton School of Business are two places where I definitely know that you can kind of learn this stuff. But I'm just saying, like, the people that are putting the research out, think more of them are in France right now. And I think that what happens is a lot of the guys in Chicago, they just go to work in the industry straight away. Right? So the question is, if you could go anywhere in the world and learn market microstructure, probably the answer is Chicago, right? Which is what I think you're trying to say. Maybe you're not trying to say anything, but that's what I think would be the most relevant to a kid in school. Probably not relevant to Ismail since he's already going to a school right now, right? Well, I mean, he said that he's already going to a school. Another few ticks down, and look, that those offers still there, and we're back to basically the scene of the crime at 11 half. So if this is like a pop return scene of crime, bounce back up sort of thing, then what we would expect to see here is we wouldn't spend very much time here. Bids maybe absorb a little bit more. So we'll see what they do. Is the guy, people that are looking to buy still there? But again, like given the way that this is played out, I think that we're probably more likely seeing one of the more short-term theories about why this is coming in. Right? Oh my gosh. Okay, I just saw that actually responded here. I was like, give me a second to finish my thought. Gosh, interrupting my thought process, man. Anyways, I think that the situation was appropriate to take short-term one. No, he posts and then he deletes it, so I can't read it. I did read it. He said, what did he say? He said, I'm just saying for the purposes of somebody trying to learn, you're probably going to learn more in Chicago unless you're some, upper class French aristocrat. That might be true. I wouldn't know. And that was the honest, but was too open-minded. Is DOM useful for looking at the market in a macro sense too? You're using it for minute by minute, but just wondering. Oh, okay, so that's a good question. So, I'm gonna say kind of yes and kind of no. Okay, so you're not really going to see, like, there's not anything that I could see here on the DOM that makes me say, oh yeah, this means that over the next 6 months to 5 years that we're likely to see X. Nah, I don't see that. I tend not to see that, right? The DOM is really, what is the DOM for? It's for verifying that the flows you're seeing right now are in line with the flows that you are expecting. Okay, so it is like a short-term, minute-by-minute thing. But understanding the DOM is, in my opinion, extremely useful base for understanding the markets as a whole. Because if you trade with the DOM a little bit, you read that book, you go through, and then you get to the end chapter where they talk about the informational content of prices, right? At that point, you are then able to explain with science why the market is the way that it is, right? Because there are so many people, even people like at the top levels of finance, okay? Like huge fund managers and stuff like that don't necessarily understand this and have beliefs about how the nature of market efficiency and whatnot that aren't true, right? So if you understand that market microstructure stuff, it's kind of like you start at the bottom and you can just kind of build up. So if you've done all of that and you've learned about the DOM and you've learned about market microstructure and you've traded, and then you end up moving up the ladder, which is what I'm thinking of doing, is trying to learn more about portfolio level management. I think that it is a really key benefit to you. And then that's what I've always been told as well from like the professional traders, is they're like, if you understand this stuff and then you go on to bigger things, it's really, really useful. Like, because you really truly understand the market through and through from top to bottom. And you can kind of explain how these little behaviors that we're looking at from day to day, how do they fit into the bigger picture? I can't necessarily use it as a predictive indication of what's going to happen in the far distant future and stuff, but I can use it to kind of explain why it turns out the way that it does, right? And the thing that you're going to come back to over and over again is that the market is just not very informationally efficient. There can be information available to you today that's just not factored into the markets. And why does that happen? Well, it's because of the way that the order book works. So if somebody comes in here and buys a lot of treasuries, it moves things really far. It is entirely possible. I mean, it could be the case that it was just us retail traders trading it that caused all that stuff to happen. I mean, like, think about it. Going back to it, when I took the trade, it was pretty quiet, right? I was like, well, I've got a good price. I'll take it. We got a few ticks in our favor, and then there was like some aggressive pushback against it before it like really turned out. So it could have been the case that like I got long, maybe a couple of you guys followed us or something, and then, you know, you would think that small guys wouldn't have any effect, but if there's not that much activity going on in the market, you know, like 1% of the orders can be responsible for 10% of the volatility is what we learned from market microstructure. So our actions could have been magnified and caused that. And then, you know, maybe the run that we had once we breached the highs was just a stop run, which is maybe why it died. Are we back? Can you hear me? Cool. So I just went in and I have some like source records going on, like to try and record it to my disk. So I turned those off and we'll just see if that changes anything. But I think it's pretty hard to argue here. Like, it seems like it's a video card, guys. Which would be pretty funny that we got this video card for the recording and then it doesn't work. Like, what? I did update the drivers. So let's just check a couple of things here. Huh? Okay, so first of all, now that I am no longer doing all of those extra source records and everything, it is using less GPU. Wow, if I wanted to move JPST 1%, we've been through that one before. We don't have enough time to go through it anyways. Move it just 1%. Not 1%. Let's just say let's let you know, one tick. How much, or like 1% of the volatility. How much? I think that might be interesting. Okay, so anyways, so we are using less of that. Oh, look, there's all of the crashed OBS instances. I have a list besides those two if you want me to change the tickers from that day. Okay. Well, I mean, what we can do is we can look at the average volume and the average volatility and use the square root law to make an estimate of, you know, how much 1% of the volume would move it and how much 1% of the volume would be. Probably is a ton though. And last time you showed me that one, it was massive. Okay, anyways, let's go to the GeForce Experience now. So I am on the latest driver. We come in here to all this stuff. And then OBS, we are on version 29. Which is, if we check for updates, pretty sure, yeah, no updates available. Well, shoot. And I have to just hope that it was it not playing well with the multi-stream, you know, the the sources that I had to like record. Because otherwise we got a real problem. You like that microphone? See, what you do is you speak into that, and then they hear you over there. No, we're fine. I do have to adjust it here, though. Yeah, it's just like a friction mount, so it doesn't take a whole lot to make it move or fall down. Man, I am a little bit weirded out by how that market action that we had just coincided with the decisions that I made a little bit too well, don't you think? Something super weird was going on today, though, man. I don't think we'll ever know what that was all about. But that was a weird trade. Just well, or maybe I just got lucky. Maybe I just got lucky. Trader's gonna trade. I really do wonder if it was just traders gonna trade. I have to wonder, because if we were getting kind of the thing that I took the trade for, it wouldn't have come back like that, right? I guess we can still wait 45 minutes, but at the very least, there's something else going on that I'm not aware of. But the reason I'm joking with Ishmael about this is that there's kind of two things. Is number one, like if we're going to take an empirical approach to something and we want to say like a certain method works, and let me make very, very clear, I am making no claims about my own performance or the performance of the overall system that we're talking about. I don't teach a system. I teach you the proven market behaviors, and you take what you can from that and try and work it into your own strategy, right? And I'm making no claims about how likely you are to succeed or fail from doing that, because the reality is that no matter what, futures trading is hard. Okay. And number two is that if we were going to try and make a claim about our performance, we would have to take a really big data sample. We would have to say, okay, we traded this way for 5 years and this is how it performed, right? One trade's not enough. So, you know, I know it seems weird. It's like, oh, just take the win, Seth. But if I just did that, it wouldn't be helping you, right? I have to push back against these logical fallacies that everybody else uses to try and convince you that they're the guru, right? I don't know what I did, but YouTube is now recommending me videos by a nice lady in Vancouver who is teaching a VWAP strategy to day trade and make 120%. You know what it is, Akshay, is like the algorithm picks you up. So I can point, actually, I don't think I can point it out on the chart, but I could tell the point in late 2019 when YouTube's finally started to group me in with, oh, this is a day trading channel. it didn't pick up on it as quickly as I would have liked, because some of the earliest videos that we had that were really successful were about politics. So I think that YouTube thought our channel was about politics and not about day trading, right? So like one of the videos that did really, really well, and like thinking back on it, and I'm like, should I have actually made that video? Was when I debunked a bunch of conspiracy theories about the Las Vegas shooting. So what does your YouTube recommended feed look like? Oh, it's all over the place, man. Changes every day. Let's see what's on YouTube today. Let's see what's on YouTube today. So if so one thing you got to keep in mind is that this is like this channel, and I don't watch on YouTube with this account very often. But a lot of the stuff that you're gonna see on here is gonna have more to do with making YouTube content, right? Unlocking the true potential of webcams by Epos Fox. He's okay. This guy's okay. I like him. I also get a lot of stuff about audio production. Then if you come and you switch over to the one that, you know, I've been using for 10 plus years, which actually does have some subscribers. It actually does have some subscribers over here. PBS Space Time. Oh, I love that one. I have to watch that one. I haven't seen that. I really like Harris Heller because he's from Utah. I wish we were buddies, but we're not, so it's okay, Harris. You don't have to feel bad. You know, just you don't have to be my friend just because we're in Utah, but I sure like Harris. And I get a lot more stuff about video editing over here, and I get a lot of electronic dance music stuff. And yeah, they always show me the latest tech tips video. I love that channel. I don't watch it every day, but I catch most of their videos. The 10 greatest fighting games of all time. I used to do a lot of stuff with fighting games, but I haven't done so much on that lately. I've been way more focused lately, actually. There's not really anything all that super interesting on YouTube today. I still get stuff about Overwatch. I used to get so much stuff about Overwatch. I'm so over that game, man. Like I really am. Like I really, somebody please, it pisses me off that the Department of Justice shot down the merger. Just somebody put them out of their misery. Somebody, Blizzard needs some mercy killing. Okay, do a mercy killing, and you know, well, maybe they just go out of business. Maybe someday Blizzard just goes out of business and all of these titles just become public. If StarCraft Brood War was like open, you know, public, open source, public domain, that's what it is, public domain, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. I only played it while it was Overwatch 1. Yeah, I haven't played this. You know what, though? Apparently it's doing really well. It does look like that the changes that they made and the gunplay in Overwatch 2 is good enough that people are enjoying playing it. But from the changes that they've made and everything, it looks to me that they will not have longevity. So... But hey, you know, if Overwatch 2 ends up not having longevity, that could maybe be a good thing for the shooter industry overall, because there haven't been very many good shooter games lately, right? Like Valorant was the last big shooter game to be released that I can think of, and that was like 2 years ago now. How was it different from Team Fortress? I would say it's just an evolution on Team Fortress. So like the base game type are pretty similar to Team Fortress. But what makes Overwatch unique is, number one, like from Team Fortress, is that they added much more MOBA style elements. So you have a super that, you know, charges up that you can use, and when you use it, you can get like insane value out of it. Like, you know, can completely shift the direction of a game. So when you use your super is really important, and managing the cooldowns, managing your cooldowns is really important. And so that's kind of what Overwatch brought to it. And then on top of that, it's like, it's really, really team based. You know, like in Team Fortress, you know, you can kind of go off on your own and be a one-man army, but in Overwatch, you really have to work together. Like, that really, really requires close coordination. But the problem is that the meta of the game kind of went in a bad direction. Team Fortress had those as well. Medic Uber Charge could grant immortality to a teammate for a while. In Overwatch, if you're not like, positioning is so important in Overwatch. Like, if you are not in the right spot, your team is just gonna lose. It's really frustrating. Like the thing that's frustrating about Overwatch is that there are things that you kind of have to understand in order for your team to even stand a chance. And if it, like, even one person doesn't get it, like, you're gonna lose. Like, you're just gonna straight up lose. And those skills are not things that are obvious to you at the start of, you know, when you start playing. Like, where the correct positioning for your class, for instance, is really, really key, and how to play your class. And it's just not obvious what's correct. So it kind of has turned into one of these games where, like, you have to kind of go and watch a little bit of education on YouTube and stuff first. Like, one of the things that's really useful is people will make these playthroughs where they play as one character and they climb up the ladder with that character, like from 0 to 100. Those are really useful to watch. But yeah. But I remember with Team Fortress, there was things you could do, like, especially with the spy, where one player could come in and really, really mess with people, you know? Doesn't really work in Overwatch. Overwatch really took the team coordination aspect of shooter games to an extreme. So it ultimately plays very, very different from Team Fortress. You know what, though? Team Fortress is still like a very active game, apparently. So, well, I guess I better get going here. That was my ding ding sound. Now it's just an achievement farm. I don't know. Now that I got the new card, should I try playing some more games? I don't know. Because part of the problem, my video card wasn't bad, but I just wasn't. I felt like the amount of effort that I had to put into games to be good, to get reward from them was like too much, is what happened. When it was Unreal Tournament, right? I can go into Unreal Tournament and I'm the only thing that I have to worry about, and I can just come in and just destroy them. And it's awesome, right? In games these days, there's like a lot more element of randomness. Like, your reflexes matter a lot more because they're all hit scan games, or they're like team based. And so, like, if you want to climb the ladder or whatever the thing is to get rewarded by the game, you have to play it obsessively for months and months and months. And I just got so sick of it. Especially in Overwatch. What it takes to climb the ladder in Overwatch is so retarded. Because you can be clearly better than everybody else on your team, and it's still difficult to climb the ladder. So, anyways, I kind of stopped playing games. And you know what? I've got a lot of work to do still, so I will get going, though. I'm gonna do some of that work now, so I will see you tomorrow, and hopefully the stream doesn't crash on us tomorrow. I'm hopeful. I mean, we made it through that 15 minutes. So I'm hoping that that fixed some of our problems, but we'll see. Anyways, So I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellenting.